Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our usual Wednesday discussion on our Facebook pages. Uh, Tonight on the platform, it's been a long week and a lot of things to talk about, and we've picked one of those things from the past happening in the past 1 week, from last week Wednesday to today, and we are still going to have a conversation about the same issues as usual, which are matters of the people. My name is Mumbi, and you are joining us on the platform on pages Pilato, Pag's page, as well as Pilato's YouTube page. As usual, feel free to join in through the comment section. After some minutes, I'll be able to share the comments, or sorry, rather, I'll be able to share the link in the comment section, which you can click on to join in the conversation. But also remember the rules of the conversation. When you click on the link, make sure you have an identifiable name and you also have your camera turned on so that we can see who we are interacting with tonight. Also, remember that the platform is a program brought to you by PAGS with support from OSISA. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the show tonight. So, we are having a discussion tonight about a particular matter that I know is of concern to everybody. We are talking about the new president. Amazingly, yesterday we successfully had sworn in, Zambia had sworn in the new president of the republic, which is Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, who is now Zambia's seventh Republican president. We must be glad we had a very successful transfer of powers from the former head of state, Mr. Lungu. And now we have a new man, we have a new driver in the country, which is quite amazing. A new story to tell, a new interaction that we're going to have for the next 5 years, depending on his leadership. Well, we may stay list. But anyway, a long conversation for the next 5 years that we're going to have, and we're looking forward to many things. Tonight's topic, rather particularly, is talking about very important things that I know that is at the heart of everybody in the country. We are talking about communicating a message to the new president. This is particularly very important because we must all agree that the reason why in this year's election we highly embrace democracy is for the purpose of us to be able to communicate to communicate with our leaders on particular issues that matter. And I've come to learn that there's no better time than the earliest time to communicate with him. We don't want to find ourselves in a situation where we're told you had the chance to speak and you didn't say it. So we would want to hear from you. What messages do you have for the president? What messages do you have the people that are coming in government? We are patiently waiting for the new government. The president did give an interesting speech yesterday. There are obviously things that you picked out, and there are things that you would want to echo. Feel free to talk about that. Our conversation is very open today, but our focus really is on what message would you want to send to the new president today, as well as the new government that we should be expecting to be in place. Preferably by the end of this week. We hope we get to have a cabinet and we get to have things running in the new government. So, what things or what message do you have for the new government? So, I'll be posting a link in the comment section just now. And then you can be able to click on that link and then join in for the conversation. So, you think of something that you would want to share with us. Once you pick it, please feel free to click on the link and be able to give your contribution on tonight's conversation. We also had an amazing inauguration. There are a lot of people that turned out to go and watch the inauguration of our new president, which is good. We had a number of people that even had to sleep at the stadium just to join in the next day. Also, quite an amazing turnout. But I think what's the greatest part about this is that we have constantly had citizen involvement in the past. Worst of this year, we've had a huge citizen involvement in the affairs of the country. Most of it was really, really shown on the day of voting. Some was really shown on the day of of on the days of rather getting the NRCs and the voters card issuances, which is very good. And to cream it all up, we had also a huge turnout of people that were attending the event yesterday. A huge color change in the city, but also a huge noise in town, in the country, and everywhere else around the world. We have conversations about the dollar. There's just so much to talk about. But we know that we now have to forge ahead and begin to talk about new things. And we want to hear from you. What is your message to the new government? So feel free to click on the link and join in and share your thoughts. Mm, while I'm waiting for people to join in, oh yeah. So while I'm waiting for people to join in, I'll be able to have I can be able to start having the conversation with you guys about what I feel was my highlight of the day and what my message would be um, to the new president and the new government. So I think my highlight of the day was to see how people were happy. We haven't had that experience in a long time where we have a lot of people celebrating one thing, and the lot of people comprises of all classes of our society, the rich, the poor, and the mid class, which is amazing because for me it's a signal of consensus about a decision that was made, which is quite amazing. It's always good to know that people have chosen one direction and people have chosen rather one message or one person, because that way you can be able to see the unity of voices in the hands of the citizens. Which was very amazing. I was also glad to see the huge celebration that was happening countrywide. From the day the counting of votes from the day the counting of votes started all the way to yesterday, and we're hoping that we're going to celebrate also for the next 5 years. We pray that we actually celebrate for the next 5 years. I've seen some people already trying to join in, so I'll be able to add rather the people that are joining in just now, starting with this person here. Good evening. You've been added to the stream, but you need to turn on your camera for you to be able to contribute. Your mic is on mute, which is okay. But please, Mr. I don't know how to pronounce your name, so please don't get me sued. But your name is, I think it's Mizel or Mizel, but that pronunciation there. Please turn on your camera, and then you can be able to unmute your mic and give your contribution about today's topic. There you go. Good evening, sir, and how are you? Please unmute your mic. Thank you very much. Are you able to hear me? Good evening.
Good evening, madam.
How are you?
Hello, I'm fine, and you?
I'm fine. Thank you very much for joining in. What's your contribution to today's topic? What's your message to the new president and the new governments that we have now?
My comment to the new government is that I just hoping for the president to change things and want a better Zambia.
Mm, okay. What do you want to see in a better Zambia? What do you mean when you say a better Zambia? What is a better Zambia to you? What does it mean when you say you want a better Zambia? What does it mean to you? What do you want to see? Mr. Mizeo, are you able to hear me? Did you
We
get my
want the
question?
president to improve the economy and provide more jobs to those who and want. Yeah, I'm able to hear you.
Okay. Please go ahead with your thoughts.
Hello. Yeah, yeah, I was saying we want the president to bring more opportunities for jobs and to improve the economy.
Okay, Mr. Mazel, thank you very much for that submission. It's highly appreciated. We hope that our new president and the new people in power are watching this and they'll be able to take note of what your message is to them. Otherwise, thank you very much for joining in and have a great evening. Okay, Mr. Ivo, good to see you. You should also tell me if this is the way I should be pronouncing your name. I suspect I'm at the wrong side of the pronunciation. But anyway, good
Yes,
evening.
yes, you are. Good evening, Mumbi.
I'm all right, thank you. Correct me, what's the pronunciation of your name?
Ivo.
Ah, Mr. Ivo, you're welcome.
Thank you.
How are you?
I'm okay, thank you. How are you?
I'm all right. So give us your contribution for tonight's conversation, Mr. Ivo.
So, congratulations to our new president, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema.
Mm-hmm.
Today's message is very simple and straightforward.
Yeah,
As the president gets down to work, my
yeah.
plea is he should reduce the number of cabinet ministers.
Mm.
We have noticed that in the
Mm-hmm.
past regime, the number of ministers it has been very big, such that huge sums of money have been allocated to those ministers to run those ministries. And mostly in government, those who are in government, we are told that the most people who run government programs are permanent secretaries. So we see no reason why we should have a huge number of cabinet ministers, and we'll save more money if we reduce the number of cabinet ministers. In his promise, Mr. H promised that he will reduce the number of cabinet ministers.
If you were to send a message, particularly, which ministry would you want to see removed and why?
Some ministries, such as Ministry of Religious Affairs, by
Mm-hmm.
virtue of Zambia being a Christian nation, we already know who we are. There is no need to someone to be heading us. No, 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 no. We already know who we are, and we practice Christian values in our churches and in our
Yeah.
way of life. So there is no need to put someone there. There are some ministries which they should combine them.
Mm.
There are some ministries that need to be combined so that they can reduce on the number of those ministries to lessen the amount of money which they allocate to these ministries. And that will help to save a lot of money that can be used for other important things.
I see. Mr. Ivo, I really appreciate rather your your comment and
Just the last one. Just the last
please.
one. He should also consider appointing young people in his cabinet. When you say young people, there's been a misunderstanding of who is a young person in terms of our old people and the young people. At least
Yes.
35 below, we need to see a good number of 3 or 4 cabinet ministers, 35 below, not anyone above 35. No, no, he's not a youth. 35 below,
Especially the
at
Ministry of
least.
Youth.
Yes, he should be found in HH's cabinet members. So at least you should consider having at least 3 or 2 cabinet ministers who are you, so that we are well represented, because that's the youth who have put him there.
Mm. Mr. Ivo, that's a very important submission. We need to continue echoing that so that we should be able to see a young person. I think young people for the longest time have been talking about representation, and there's no better time than now when their voices have been louder. So thank you very much for that submission. I'll allow you to exit. I have a huge line, a long line on the queue. So please do help me by exiting. Thank you so much.
Thank you
Mr.
so much.
Rocky, you again. How are you? Please unmute your mic and give us your submission.
Great. Hi, Mumbi. How are you doing?
I'm all right,
Hi,
thank you.
how are
And
you
how are
doing?
you?
Are you able to get me?
I'm able to
Can
get
you
you
hear
in.
me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So,
Okay. First and foremost, hello. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay. Congratulations to our president
Mm-hmm.
and the vice president, Madam Mtalen Almango.
Yes.
I've got four submissions today. The first one is we want a youth representation in as far as the appointments are concerned.
Yeah.
I think this has to be very much emphasized because the president is actually is in as much as is not a youth, but I know that he's got the youths at heart. So we expect him to at least give some young people certain positions so that
Mm-hmm.
us young people are not marginalized, but we are represented. Okay.
Yeah.
Then the second one is the issue to do with corruption scandals. I keep on saying this. I keep on emphasizing this one. The
Yeah.
president he's got all it takes to forgive the previous government in
Mm-hmm.
whatsoever they did to him in their personal capacities. But he's got no power to forgive those that committed crimes against the Zambian people.
Yeah.
So I would urge the newly elected president to make sure that those that committed crimes against the Zambian people pay back. And a precedence is supposed to be set so that those that would be offenders in future will learn a lesson from what is going to happen to those that committed serious crimes in this country. And then the third one is the issue to do with human rights.
Yeah.
The president has promised that we are going to have freedom of expression in this country.
Mm-hmm.
I pray that this is going to be actualized because in the previous regime we never had that freedom. I remember you
Yeah.
guys, you went to go and protest in the bush. We do not want that kind of a thing to happen again. We want to have that freedom where if we feel aggrieved as young people, as citizens of this country, we can go and protest freely and the president can give us audience so that he addresses whatever issues that are there.
Yeah.
No wonder Mumbi yesterday, I feel sorry for the president because he was booed at Heroes Stadium yesterday. And people
Mm-hmm.
are condemning the behavior. But one thing you should know is that people were not given the freedom to express themselves. So the only chance they had was yesterday, and that was the only way to express to say they were not actually satisfied with the previous leadership. So we
Mm.
need the freedoms in this country. We need those freedoms so that people are able to express themselves. Not when it's a handover time, that's when people express themselves. It's quite very embarrassing. The
Yeah.
last one, lastly, I'm going to talk about empowerment. Young people in this country are very hardworking. All we need are systems that will be put in place. We do not want handouts. We want proper empowerment systems where training skills will be provided for entrepreneurs. You can only empower young people when you train them to become entrepreneurs. That's when you can give them money for them to be able to do businesses. Look at the empowerments that were given in the previous regime. Where is the money? We don't even have a trace of the money that was given out. How many
Yeah.
people benefited? How many young people benefited? So my plea to this newly elected government and the president in particular is that if anything, let them establish institutions where young people will be able to train earn skills, and then they can import like that. I think these are my submissions for now. Let me allow other people to be able to speak as well. Thank you.
Mr. Rocky, thank you so much for your submissions. We appreciate your engaging with us. Okay, I come to Madam Sandra Nawakwi. I don't know, Madam, if you can hear me. You are not on the camera right now. Okay, there you are. Good to have you. The first woman today.
Yeah.
You'll probably be the only one, but I'm glad that you've come through because I get very few women. So I'm always happy when I see a woman. Otherwise, thank you so much for joining in. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. I don't know if you're able to get me.
I'm able to get you loud and clear. Your voice is excellent, including your camera.
Okay. So I'll start by introducing myself. My
Please.
name is Sandra Naonga Nawakwi.
Mhm.
So I've got a number of things that I want to talk about. I'll start with first of all, I want to congratulate His Excellency the President-elect Hakainde Hichilema and the entire, MPs and everyone, and as well as Madam Nalumango. We are so happy that our vote at least made a difference, and we are so happy and that they were uh, voted into power despite the insults and everything. So to them, I think it's a big congratulations, and we are really really looking forward to see them work. Okay,
Mhm.
so I'll start by submitting to say we the youths of the Republic of Zambia, we voted this government into power, not
Yeah.
because we couldn't have voted anyone else. I personally voted for Edgar Chagwalungu, but I was so disappointed because we were treated like slaves in our own country. We were brought back to the colonial days. We never had freedom of speech. Even when you go to school, school became like it's just rubbish because even if you are qualified, there were no jobs. They would rather bring in cadres to work, which was very unprofessional. So I'll start by saying that we want our freedom brought back to us. Just like
Mm.
we have seen the past few days, we have sanity in town, we don't have cadarism. We want a peaceful Zambia. Whether you are rich or poor, we all want to enjoy this country because we have the rights, because this is our motherland. If we can't be free in our own country, then where can we be free? So I think my first submission is the fact that we want to see this government, as they have implemented sanity in the country, they need to maintain it. Because I
Yeah.
think even in the past, we did have this sanity before, but it died a natural death. You have people making stands wherever they feel like. They built roads, but those were turned into markets. So we want this sanity that is coming slowly but surely to continue. Then
Yeah.
my next submission is hospitals. I am a nurse by profession. I'm a qualified nurse. I'm a midwife. I've been in service for 14 years. So I want to talk about the hospitals. So the hospitals, yes, were built by the previous government. But you see, before they were even properly built, they were being commissioned because they wanted to show that they were working. So the work that was done was substandard. It was under the normal standards because they wanted to show off their building, so they used cheap material. We're asking this government to come in and renovate these hospitals first to start with. Then secondly, we have these hospitals, but we don't have the medical personnel. We have
Yeah.
millions of nurses, we have millions of doctors who have qualified and they are home and they are not working. You can't
Yeah.
come to us and tell us you built hospitals. I won't sleep in the bed and be healed by the bed. I need a nurse and I need a doctor. So the first things first, we have a lot of sick people that are dying, not because they cannot be cured, but because the hands of a nurse are full and she can do just as much. The doctor
Yeah.
is overwhelmed. So we are asking this government to look into that, because whether I am poor or not, I'm supposed to access the medical services according to the standards set. In the past, we had nurses. When you graduate, you qualify, you are employed. But this time it's different. You have to bribe someone. You have to know someone to be, to be employed. So this government needs to clean the hospitals. What I mean by cleaning the hospital, the management of these hospitals, these directors, the nursing officers, they need to be scrapped off. The reason why I'm speaking like this is because the hospitals standard is down because of the type of managers that we have. So if they can scrap off these, when you go to a private hospital, you'll be amazed that everything is in place. Why? Because they have a good management, yeah? They have good managers in place who are
Okay, I think we've lost Madam Sandra a bit there. I hope she manages to come back to finish her thought. So for now, I'll just mute her mic, and then let's see if she'll be able to rejoin. I'm sure she got an internet disruption. But anyway, we'll continue with the discussion. My good internet friend, Mumbi, good to see you tonight. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. And how are you? After a long time.
After a long time indeed. How have you been?
We've been good. It's nice that we are meeting in the new government with a lot of
Good to see you in the
expectations.
new government indeed. Please
Yeah.
give us your thought. I can see Miss Sandra is back, so I want you to give your thought while she's still dealing with her internet, and then we'll be able to add her back.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. I think the first thing I would like to congratulate the president, Hakainde Hichilema. He deserves that victory. After fighting so hard, 5 times, losing 5 times is not something that is very easy. So he
Yeah,
deserves that victory, and it has come at the right time. We are just hoping that through those hard times, he learned one or two things, and he will be able to handle the country better. Yes. Talking about the message that HH brought to the table yesterday in his inaugural speech, I feel there were a lot of promises, and that message was very welcome, and it came at the right time, where Zambians are highly expectant. I think you can agree with me from the previous speakers who joined in the program that
yeah,
the Zambians are expecting a lot of things in terms of we can talk about the economy. Madam Sandra here talked about health, the health sector, all those things. And I love the fact that he had a very good slogan, which is "Bali will fix it." Hoping
yeah,
that, yeah, we just hope that you'll be able to fix all those things. But now the only danger that I see myself is that he made a lot of promises. He made a
yeah,
lot of promises, and we hope that those promises will be able to be fulfilled, so that they're not used against him.
yeah,
Because when you make a lot of promises, the challenge now comes in fulfilling them. So we just pray for him that he will be able to fulfill each and everything that he actually promised. That's the first thing that I want to actually put forward. Then, are you going to allow Miss Sandra to come in at this particular point, or maybe I should continue and finish my point?
Please, okay, let me let her finish. So,
Yeah,
Madam,
I feel it's better she finishes so that, yeah.
yes, so that we don't keep her waiting over the thought. Madam Sandra, please go ahead. I want you to finish your thought, madam. You shouldn't get this.
I was on my, thank you so much for allowing me in again. So I was on my second point over the hospitals. So I was talking about the management. You see, just the same way we have changed the government, I'll tell you that this management, if they are left in these offices, it means it will be very difficult for the president-elect to perform his duties. Why? Because these people worked with the previous government. These are the same people that we have that are corrupt. Okay, so for him to see change, it doesn't matter whether he'll be called names, whether he'll be told he's brought his own people, it's okay. Because I'll tell you, for in the 14 years that I've been in service, I've seen MMD go and PF bring in their own people, yeah? And those people have messed up the systems in the hospitals. We had good directors who were MMD, and just because they belonged to the MMD, they were removed. I'll give an example of Dr. Kasonka, who was heading UTH. Dr. Kasonka was MMD at the time that PF came into power, and he was a good director that we had at that time when I was at UTH. And trust me, he was moved because he refused to join the PF. So we need people who can bring change, because if we talk about medicines missing, it's not like the government wasn't buying, but they used to connive. This thing, we've been in the system, we've been in the service, and we'll see how things and monies are just going in people's pockets. So it is very important that even the management at hospital levels, at district levels, if possible, some people need to move. Yeah, I think, it's difficult if you're a civil servant to come out and talk about certain things, but I think it's about time, whether you're a civil servant or not, you need to bring out your voice, because we need change for the country, not for ourselves. So it's very important for this government to do a survey, go to the ground and ask who works. If you ask people secretly, they'll tell you this one, sure, this boss, no, this director, no, this one is a good manager, and that's how we are going to see change. As long as we have these people down in these offices, change will not come. Then the other submission is on the areas that the previous government owes the civil servants. The retirees, the people that are in the civil. I, for one, am owed by a lot of money by the government. I never got my settling in allowance. I've been on leave several times, but I never got my leave travel benefits. So what is the government going to do about these areas? Because these, civil servants get very little money, and the only motivation that is there is the incentives. That's why you find that in the hospitals, the teachers, they are demotivated because their money, instead of being given to them, it's being eaten. You see? So the government should also look into these areas, the retirees, they should be paid their monies. Then I'll talk about free education. We need the free education back in Zambia, because I can afford to go to school. I can afford to pay for university for myself and for my siblings, for my children. But there's a poor Zambian out there who is very intelligent, who needs to be educated, and the parents, they cannot afford it. So you go to UNZA, you want to enroll in School of Medicine, and they tell you the school fee is 56,000. Your mother cannot afford to buy a packet of sugar that is 40 kwacha. Where are they going to get the 56,000? So you end up having very intelligent people, bright people, having no future because they cannot afford education. So if this can be looked into as quickly as possible, because we need people to go to colleges, we need people to be educated. I, for one, had a mother whose mother was just selling fritters. That's how my mom got educated. But because there was free education then, my mother went to college, you see? So the only thing that my grandmother used to buy was soap, maybe some clothes, some books, but education was free. But what about a simple Zambian who cannot afford even just a packet of salt? You need, we've got a lot of bright people out there who can be good doctors, good lawyers, good teachers, economists, but they can't afford education. Go to UNZA. It's about 56,000 per term, 40 something, just nursing. To be in School of Nursing at UNZA is very expensive. So we really need this free education to be handled as quickly as possible. Then when we come to the salaries, look, the cost of living has gone up. But you find that even in the private companies, these shops, Indians, they will just be paying someone maybe 400 kwacha. What can you do from a 400 kwacha? So we need our government to step into the private sector and see to it that these people who are working, they are not abused. Because you see, when you look at the type of jobs that they do, you go in a shop, they are lifting heavy things, they are selling from morning to 20 hours, but they are getting a 600 kwacha. So we need the government through the labor office to move in and harmonize the salaries, even in the private sector. Because if you give me 1,000, what am I going to do? The rentals even in Kanyama, maybe a house is 600. I've got children that I'm taking to. I've got girls that I need to buy clothes, pads. It's not possible. So we need this government not only to look into the civil servant, but also in the private sector to ensure that, these foreigners make a lot of money, I'll tell you. And they are very, very selfish, and they are very abusive. So the government needs to look into it so that even in the private sector, these people, the salaries should be improved. They should harmonize the salaries. And the last submission to my dear president, the president at heart, we are begging him not to bring in anyone from the PF, because these people are thieves. They are thugs. They are selfish. I don't even know what to call them. Now what they have done, they have run away from Edgar Chagwalungu, and they are obviously looking for a loophole to come into this government. We do not want them in this government. We removed them because people are talking about tribalism. How do you talk about tribalism? You yourself, you are married to a Tonga. You are me, I'm Namwanga. I'm not married to a Namwanga. You see? So people will talk about silly things like tribalism. No, he's a Manson. Excuse me. Which president was a Christian? Are you sure Edgar Chagwa was a Christian? Christianity is seen by your action. So if we had a Christian president who was abusing us, a Christian president who was stealing from us, the poor Zambians, look at how much tax we're paying. And those people around him are the people who led him, misled him to do all these things. So what we are asking, my last submission is, please, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, don't bring any of these thieves into this government. We trust you. We trusted you with our votes. We have trusted you with our lives. We are expecting that you should not bring any of these thieves. They insulted him, for crying out loud. Just a day before we went to vote, Waboma and Lusambo, Variabadi Panga video. Hey, Hakainde is a Dow politician. Who is Dow between Hakainde and Bowman? It is him. And those are the same people who come begging for jobs. We don't want them because those are thieves. They already know the formula of how to steal. We want new blood. We want fresh blood. We know it will take years for this country to just go back to normal because it took 10 years for these people to destroy this country. Yeah? And we are patient. We are going to be patient with our president. We are not going to rush. If it's going to take the whole 5 years for him to bring sanity to Zambia, we are ready. But what we don't want is these thieves, these thugs to come back because we know them. They came from UNIT, they came into MMD. From MMD, they went to PF. And from PF now, they want to come. No, that's what they do. And they'll use all sorts of tricks. We don't want them. Some people came from PF. Chimbakambwili for crying out loud. He went, even when he was dying in the hospital, it was Hakainde who was there when he was in prison. It was Hakainde who was there. And then he went back and insulted him. Those are the people that we don't want because that we want people with fresh brains, fresh blood. We are trying people who are, we want change. Change. So thank you very much, Madam Moderator. Thank you so much.
Sandra, thank you so much for joining in. Your submissions were amazing. It's good to hear from a civil servant, especially you who is in the health sector. It's good to get that information. It's very informative to the citizens, and we hope you keep expressing your views more. You've talked about freedom of expression. Please make sure we normalize that in all areas that we are found in. We'll really appreciate if that becomes the case. I think it's a very important thing for us as a country and for the purpose of maintaining democracy. Otherwise, we appreciate your thought and we hope you keep joining in our program. It's every Wednesday, by the way. So please
okay.
Yeah,
sure. Thank you.
You have a good night. Help us exit.
Okay.
Okay, so Amamba, back to you. You have to run quick. I had particular interest in Madam Nawaku because she's a civil servant. So I wanted to give an opportunity to speak for all the years that civil servants have not been given a chance to speak, and yet they are a very, very big part of our society. So you have to rush with your thought because I have a huge queue, long queue rather, in the studio. Please go ahead.
All right, thank you so much, and I love the fact that she represented all the women that don't come to this program, so she had to take the time, which was okay. Yes,
yeah.
I feel the other job that HH has is just that of uniting the nation.
Yeah. I think Mumbai is having a connection breakdown. Mr. Edward, please come in. You've been waiting for us for some time now. Please come in and give us a submission. Good evening, sir. Mr. Edward, you need to unmute your mic and give us your submission.
Good evening, Mom.
Yes, sir. How are you?
Good evening. Fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you for your patience. Give us your submission.
Yeah. Yeah, we are many, as you can see. There is another friend here.
Oh, that's
We are at work.
good.
All right. Men at work. All right. Thank you. I would like to give my submissions, also to second my friends. Yes, on their submissions. Um, we have a lot to do as a country. And first of all,
Yeah.
I want to. Are you able to hear me?
I can
you
hear
hear
you
me?
loud and clear. Yes.
Thank you very much. Yes, like I was saying, we have a lot to do as a country. We have a lot. And I would like to congratulate the new president, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema. My first submission, I will just go direct to the point. It's on the education system.
Yeah.
Yes. As a new government, I think my submission will go to my first submission, the change on the education system. We need the new
Yeah.
government. They need to work on the education system. We have difficulties in education. You find that we have so many graduates, but they don't have jobs. Why? Because the education system is poor compared to other countries. If we can have at least some skilled centers where we can learn something on our own, so that we can do things on our own, rather than depending on the government to post us. So I think that's my first submission. Let them work on the education system so that we can have skills. Even if I'm not posted, I can do something on my own. I'm earning something at the end of the month. My family are benefiting rather than waiting on the government to be posted by the government. And my second submission, I'd like to talk on the introduction of youths in their in this new government. Let them introduce fresh blood in the government. We have tired of OD members, OD MPs. We saw them in MMT. We also saw them in they were in UNIP. They were in MMT. They were in PF, and you are expecting us also to see them in the new government. That one, let our president look into that so that we can have new ideas, new fresh blood on that one. And the other submission will go to never should him allow failing government to join a new government. We don't want that as youths because it's us who voted. So we are able to see. Uh, let not him make the same mistake Mr. Edgar Chagwalungu made. We want to see new things in press so that at least we can see the development in our country. We don't want to use the old formula. Again, we are still using the old formula. Let us try a new formula. Even in mathematics, there are formulas. If you fail this formula, you try another formula. So we don't want old formulas. Let's try new formulas. And the other submission is on the sectors. Let the new government not to focus on the mining sector only. Let them introduce at least something, maybe agriculture. Some of us will not work in mining. Some of us will not work as teachers. Some of us will not work as lawyers. Some of us were destined to be farmers. So at least if the new government can come up with new ideas in terms of farming, at least let's make the farming to be easier. Let them introduce new machineries. I can see our president is a farmer. He has a lot of cows. At least if we can be empowered through farming, we cannot depend on the government. If I'm a farmer, I have a farm and I have machines, I can just be there farming and earning something at the end of the day. By depending much on the government, that's why we are finding ourselves into trouble. We are so many in this country. The government cannot manage all of us, but they can try something so that we can manage ourselves. That's why we are putting them in those offices. is to come up with something that can make us to be busy with rather than depending on them. That's why they are finding that they are failing to manage us well. So those are my submission. So agriculture, I'll comment on agriculture. Let them focus on agriculture and other things. You can bear me witness. It's not everyone who are educated. It's not everyone who are educated, but we have skills. We are talented in something. If they can come up with something that can enable us to improve on those, sometimes it's a matter of capital. You see, it's a matter of capital. You can have a skill, but you don't have a support. You cannot progress. So we need a support from the new government. And those are my submission. Thank you very much, Mumbi.
Mr. Edward, thank you so much for joining us. As you can singing, I can hear your friend is very happy. So please help us and join in again next time when we do this program. Thank you.
You're most welcome.
Mr. Josephat, another question to you. Thank you very much. How are you? Mr. Josephat, please unmute your mic. Unmute your mic and then you'll be able to speak. While Mr. Josephat is speaking, Madam Agi, please prepare yourself. You have 3 minutes to speak, so you need to prepare yourself while Mr. Josephat is speaking. Mr. Josephat Mulambi, you need to unmute your mic. Good evening, sir. How are you? Mr. Josephat, we can't hear anything. Are you able to hear us? If you can, please say something. Mr. Josephat, unfortunately, we can't hear you. You have to please position either your mouthpiece or your headsets properly in order for us to get you. We still can't get you. Are you able to hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Now we can hear you. So I'm saying I've given you 3 minutes because I want at least 3 more people in the studio to speak. We only have a few minutes remaining. So please go ahead with your submissions, but please be quick.
My submission will cut in, I think, 3 areas where I want to talk about the labor ministry. I think the labor ministry is a letdown in some sense. I am a horticulture. We have had these situations where you go to a labor office and then immediately you know that once you go that side, that's the end of your job. They will come back and call your bosses, and then they will tell you, this is the guy that came to report you. So I'm looking forward to have a total overhaul with that labor ministry. It's useless. I'm sorry to use this word, but it's useless. It's not working to save the cause of the people. People are crying out there. So that's the first submission. The second submission is the plight of a teacher.
Yeah.
We have thousands of our sisters crying loud. Yes, people would say not everyone can be absorbed in government. But these are the same people that have been in government that are milking our resources that they don't want to give up. So it's like they found honey there and then they will tell you to say, go to this other side. That's where you can find something. They're sticking. Why can't they just give us a chance?
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to a day where if there is a term that I can use, maybe disconnect whatever connections that is going on in government. We can't be looking at the surname or to say, okay, let me talk to someone for me to get a job. What about the people that doesn't have qualification, that doesn't have connections, that are coming from rural areas?
Yeah.
How are they going to find themselves in government? So we need to be given a chance. These people need to be given a chance. There is rampant corruption. If you don't have a 20,000 day, then you can't have your brother get employed. And then how do we move forward? Like our area, like in Nawaki said, a lot of people who have got brain are left outside, and then someone whose father has got money. They are the people that no wonder you find nurses being slapped there or nurses slapping patients because maybe those people were meant to be soldiers. But because of the situation that was there, then they were, yes.
Yeah.
These are the things that we need to be talking about as you say. I thank you for bringing this platform because at least now we can speak out without thinking to say someone will come and knock at your door early in the morning. Secondly, please, and that's my last topic, the last point. Can we protect our president? What I'm trying to say protecting the president. We don't want the president to have that ring of distraction where you'll be found in. Even if no matter how many times you shout to say Hakainde, he cannot hear you. These are the things which we are seeing under Edgar. The SG became so powerful such that he became a silencer where even if someone wants to approach the president to say these are the things which are happening on the ground, I am expecting this time to have a good president, because I kind of got youth with children. And these people obviously are on Facebook, they'll be reading whatever people are writing. That's what I'm expecting, because I expect him being a good father. You'll be sitting down in Havana to say, how are you assessing what we are doing? And then they'll be able to say, okay, these are the areas that people are complaining you are not doing well. And then going to free education, yes, it was a promise, but for me, looking at it realistically, do we have the infrastructure to support this? Do we have the resources to support this? No. Maybe in the next 7 years, because we need to build school, we need to employ teachers, we need to, all these supporting staffs have to be there, so that when we say this is a free education, a child is able to go there and find a teacher in the class.
Yeah.
So yes, free education is good. It was a good promise, but let's give him a chance. Let's not pressure him. I'm sure he means well. With time, we shall look back and say, I think we did the right thing. By the way, I voted for Edgar Lungu, but looking at how choked, when you have been choked a lot, sometimes you think like, this is the way of my life. Now I can breathe. Now I can speak with whatever I want to speak without leading kuyopa muntazapo and chokera nyumba. Thank you very much.
Mr. Mlambi, thank you so much for your submissions. You are quick enough. I'll allow you to exit now. The next person to speak is Madam Ag. You have 3 minutes. Mr. Oscar, you're going to be the last person to speak today. You and I are going to be closing together. And then after Madam Ag, Mr. Wiseman, please prepare yourself for 3 minutes. After Mr. Wiseman, Mr. Nick, you're also coming for 3 minutes. Please prepare your talking points. Madam Ag, are you able to hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
That's good. Please give us your message for today. The people are watching, and hopefully the new president and his new to be government are also watching. Please share your thoughts with us.
First of all, congratulations to the new president. It's been a lot of it's good he made this far. And also, we know it's been right, but we hope that he brings the different people we're looking for. I think seeing Madam in result can show desperation with change. Change has to be before he can last his office. We had in the past politicians just using our problems we election. And once they're actually in office, they forget about people. I hope that he will not repeat this mistake. Because if at all he realizes that this election shows how much power is possessed, what we need is government issues. I will not even take my time to the things that are testing.
Madam, you're now breaking terribly. I know this is a challenge you had last time, and I'm hoping it doesn't repeat itself. It's so bad.
I'm not so the position of government.
Madam, unfortunately, you're still breaking, so we can't clearly get what you are saying.
Yeah, no. Is it better?
Try to speak again, please.
Okay, so I'll please that you people problem. So they know what people ground.
Oh, again, you're not like that today. We still can't hear you.
Maybe a little close.
Okay. Let me do this because it's the second time you're trying and again we're failing. I want you to send me a private message. Right on StreamYard, there's a part where you have an option to private chat. Send me a message there and then I'll be able to read it out for you. I think that's the best I can offer you because we've been trying the past weeks and you are failing. So please send me the private message and I'll be able to share it here. I'll be able to give you access to the private message and then you can share it and I'll be able to read it out to the people. Otherwise, thank you so much for the effort. Yeah. Okay, Mr. Wiseman, over to you in your 3 minutes. Good to see you again, sir.
Thank you. Always good. I think I'm happy to see my comrade there, Oscar Pombo, from Italy. Good evening, sir. It's my pleasure to meet you on this platform as well. I think, let me not be stingy to greet only you and Mr. Oscar Pombo. Good evening, Mr. Nick, sir. How are you? I think for me, I only have three topics, and I'll be quick. One topic, 1 minute, 1 minute. I think number one, I want to talk about the message to my president, which is President Arande Chidema. I think it's to emphasize on civil servants. I think not all civil servants, but 3/4 of civil servants are visited in their offices. The working culture is very poor. There is this syndrome of I work in government. I can go at work without doing anything. I'll knock off and I'll be paid. We have to think that we need to now to change our focus in the sense that we should think of what we are going to do for the country and not what the country will do for us. For us to develop this Zambia, we have to sacrifice. Each and every one of us, we have to sacrifice for us to see Zambia like London. London never dropped from heaven. London was built by the people from London, same as Dubai. So if we are going to have this working culture, which I've seen in Zambia, from some of our civil servants, I think we're not going to help this country. We are going to think like each and every government which will be coming will be failing because of what? The working culture of civil servants. So please, Mr. President, try to engage your ministers and try to take a step like where SATA used to do. SATA will just work in any office without notifying them, so that you should be seeing what is happening. So that the effort you are putting in, the effort your workers will be putting in, they are working together and are going to see that we can prosper. So for me, that is my number one thought. I want my president to focus on that so that civil servant, the way us private who are in private business we focus. Because if you haven't worked hard, you are not going to hit. You are not going to make your money to feed your children. So for me, that's number one. Number two, I think it's about the artists. The artist in Zambia, kudos to Chamafumba, kudos to Biflo and the rest who stood with the people. You know, the artists in Zambia, they are the voice of the poor, of the poor people. They are not the voice of the richest. If you have seen in other countries, artists speak for the people who have got no voices. As artists speak for the voiceless people. So I think as much as we understand that each and every time each person has to make money to feed their family, but there are some point where you need to use your dignity and you need to use your morality to understand the current circumstance. Than you just to go and sell out your country in behalf of you making money. I think for me that was a very bad experience which I experienced in previous election, where our voices went against us and they are even justifying to say they were making money. So for me, Mr. President, I think if you can talk to the Ministry of Arts and or whatever, to maybe try to organize some of the award functions which will be sponsored by the government, so that maybe these artists they can be making money through those awards. There is no country where you have got the industry called music industry, but you don't have awards. We saw them in America, we saw them in other countries where artists have been awarded. But in Zambia, you have to wait for a private person to organize such kind of an event.
Yeah.
As for that, that is making now artists to be money hungry and to be doing anything for the sake of money. So as we are entering into new government, I think I'm looking forward for the president and their ministries to maybe to introduce such kind of an event where artists maybe can be now making money and understand that they are there to make money and as well to speak for the voiceless. Lastly, women I think we need gender in parliament. We have seen that we only have about 25 women in parliament against 156, which is not okay. I think we need, as the president, will be thinking of nominating those member of parliament. I think it will be very pleased to see that he can add more women in parliament so that we can see more women representing their fellow women, as they have been seeing that it's a woman, it's a mother who see the problems of the house. So I think as we are entering the parliament on 10th September, I'm looking forward to see the president, I think, nominating more women's, and not only women's like the women's we saw previous in the previous government, just for the sake of the women, and making long decisions as if he's not a mother. I think we are looking for brilliant women, wise women who can think about the country and who can make the country to prosper. I think those are my submission. Thank you very much for offering me this platform, and thank you very much for offering Zambians this platform. I can see my brother from Italy is still here and trying to add a voice. Thank you very much.
Mr. Wiseman, thank you very much for joining in. Please help us by exiting. We'll be waiting for you again next time that we'll be having this program. Mr. Nick, another patient man in the studio today. Good evening, sir. How are you? Please unmute your mic.
All right. Actually, I'm not a patient. Just that I'm just comfortable being here on the bed.
I see. Thank you so much. Please give us your submission for tonight.
Okay. First and foremost, thank you very much for this opportunity that you've given me to share something.
Yeah.
You know, I will first appreciate the youth and whoever participated in the voting. It's like people, it was burning in their hearts. Most of the things that were happening, they could not just speak it out, but they were waiting for that particular time. That's why you could even see that whoever voted had even that chance of protecting his or her own vote.
Yeah.
So appreciation to the
Okay, looks like we've lost Mr. Nick there. My good friend from Italy, are you there? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, you are closing the program with me today, so
I hope you can hear me as well.
I can hear you loud and clear. Before you go ahead, um, I want us to try one more time if Madam Heidi can speak. She's been trying to do it for the past 2 weeks and she's been listened. Madam Heidi, one more shot. Can you hear us? Oh my lord. Ah. Okay, we've lost her. I have no option but to close the program now. And you are the last person to speak tonight, so please take the floor.
Thank you very much. Good evening, Mumbi, and good evening, all the viewers.
Yes.
Of course, I associate myself to the whole panel and many Zambians in congratulating our president, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema. We are very proud. Actually, we followed with some of my friends here. I have been informing them of this new dawn in our country, and many people have come also to visit. You know, I have friends like Adriatico. Adriatico is a company in Ndola. Adriatic, it's a truck company in Ndola. So we were talking with with the daughter. The daughter stays very close where I stay. So there are many people who are very, very willing to start coming back to Zambia after the change of the government. Fortunate enough, because many of them, they have come to visit Victoria Falls, especially, and of course game parks. Right. My contribution, I think I will repeat some of the points that I've tried to underline some days back, some weeks back. One is the question of the deals, the business with the Chinese companies. I'm happy our president mentioned, he underlined the importance um, of transparency.
Yeah.
Yeah, he underlined the importance of transparency. So I think, um, as some of the people who participated this evening, they were saying, I think many foreigners are doing business in Zambia, many foreigners. And some of these foreigners, of course, I would like to underline the question of the Chinese, not because I hate them, I don't hate, but it is a reality that in Zambia, they are enjoying a lot of percentages in many companies. In the copper belt where I come from, in Kitwe, for example, Mopani mining. When you listen to some of these friends of ours, nephews, nieces, who are working for the Chinese, they talk about slavery. There's no right of a worker. You cannot complain. Let us imagine those people who have been closed into industries, those who are constructing the airport, for example, in Ndola.
Yes.
There are workers there, they don't go home. Months and months and months enclosed in a small place without seeing the families. Of course, this thing happens in China. When I went to China, in a town called Jin, um, these things in China, they can happen because in China, there is no democracy. Now, in Zambia, there is democracy. It was violated, of course, by the last regime, but I hope our new president, he can look into this, the plight of the workers and the transparency. So if only our president can even, I think, tell the nation what are the deals on the table with China, it's going to help us a lot. What are the deals with the Chinese people? How much money do we owe them? This is very important. And I think it's going to help also his dreams, the dreams of our president, free education, which I think I understand what the other gentleman who spoke before. He said it won't be easy. At the moment, it's not going to be easy. We are even appealing to most of the youth. Hakainde Chilema can fail if each and every one of us, we are just going to sit behind and ask for arms. It's very wrong. So
Yeah.
I know there are promises, and many youth, many unemployed youth are waiting for miracles. But I think before these miracles can come, my dear Mumbi, I think it is important for him, first of all, to disclose what is the status of our country. And then slowly, I think now in England, they have given us some money, of course, they have sent us some money. There are many countries which are going to send the money to Zambia as long as they are assured of accountability and transparency.
Mm.
So I think one of the questions is the question of the Chinese, and that point which I have at my heart, they need to close the Bank of China. It is not necessary. If we are starting now following people with laundering, money laundering, the Bank of China is not necessary. Mumbi, my dear, when I went to Kitwe, in Kitwe, at the Mukuba pension scheme, there is a Mukuba pension scheme just 100 meters further. There is this Bank of China. When I entered there to open an account, they answered me, I cannot open an account in Bank of China. So a question arises to me, this bank is for what? So, Mr. President, on that issue, I think if they can look at on that issue. And then I conclude with the last one, the
Yes.
question regarding the so-called prophets. We don't need, I think Hakainde Chilema, he is very smart. He is a gentleman. The so-called prophets are
Yeah.
a disaster, a damage to our innocent young boys and girls. I have
Yeah.
studied theology, I've studied philosophy, I've studied psychology. I'm a degree, whatever. I don't want to mention all those things. But I can distinguish when one is playing using God and you are deceiving a lot of innocent people.
Yeah.
So, Mumbi, please, the question of prophets and these pastors, which I think they have even reduced the importance of religion. Christianity is very serious. It's not a question of miracle. Miracle. You don't work. Miracle. Tomorrow you have a car. It doesn't work like that. We need to be hardworking, education, hardworking. It works like that, not miracles. I don't despise the faith of some of the gentlemen and women, but it doesn't work like that. So thank you very much. We are together. We want to contribute. We are very happy. We are very happy of what God has done to our country, Zambia, and we pray for our president. We thank you guys for what you have done. You have done a great job, Mumbi. Greet also my friend Pilato. Greet these people. You have done a great job, you guys. You have done miracles. You are the true miracle.
Don't say Don't say it. But Mr. Oscar, thank you so much for joining in. You've closed with a very important issue, especially one which has to do with religious beliefs. But anyway, we're already 12 minutes into the closing hour, so I appreciate your submission and thank you very much for joining in. Please, as usual, stick around for next week so we can continue having the chat or the next time you're going to see this program.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you
Good
so
night.
much.
Thank you very much.
Have a good night.